In this video, I'm going to show you some enhancements to the Reaction Pay Manager++ version 3.0.0.18 software package. In this video, I'm going to assume you understand how to develop a solution inside Reaction Pay Manager. If you're not familiar with how to do that, then visit our website and view one of the quick start videos. And that'll lead you through the process of developing a solution. Well, if you've used the software, you probably realize that one of the more tedious tasks is setting up the detailed view. And we've been trying to improve those tools to make it easier and quicker for you to do that. And in this particular version, we've added some tools that will improve the overall speed in which it takes you to develop a solution, or I should say a detailed view. So right now you'll notice that I'm in the detail edit view, and you can see that things look a little different. The leaders are now different. You'll see that the leader extends from the object to the end of the leader in the shortest distance between the two. It used to be that the leader would extend either horizontally or vertically from the object and then go to the leader end. Well, now that's different. It'll pick the shortest distance between the two. You'll also notice that the menu has changed slightly. There are two new entries. You've got lock leader and arrange square. The lock leader will let you lock the leader. So if I click on that button, now I click on a dimension item and I start dragging it around, you'll notice that the leader doesn't move. It stays locked in position. If I had it unlocked and drug it around, you'll see what happens. It moves everything, the leader line, and the object as well. So if I lock the leader, the relationship between the object and the image will change. So if I move the image, you'll notice that all the leaders that are pointing to the image, they move with the image. So this is a time saver, a big time saver, because you can position your leaders strategically on the image, lock it, and then you're set. Then you can move the dimension items around or your containers around however you need to make it look right. You probably also noticed when I was dragging it around, you'll see how the leader position changes as I drag it around. You'll also notice these lines appear and disappear as I'm moving it around. These lines are alignment lines, so I can see the relationship between the object I'm moving and the objects that are along the same axes with it. So in this case, you'll notice that the blue line is appearing at the top and the bottom. It's telling you that these two objects are lined up together. Also, something new that was added is the ability to use the keyboard to position your object. So if I were to click on the object, and I could drag it around using my mouse like I normally do, or I can use the keyboard to move it around. Right now I'm moving the object up and down using the keys. If you hold the shift key down and use the arrow buttons, it moves the leader instead of the object. So again, it's a little time saver. If you hit the tab key, it will move from one object to the next object to the next object in the page. Again, another time saver. The arrange square button, I'll demonstrate that later in this video. I'm going to click on the Tool 1 hole pattern using containers. In this particular page, we've got the dimensions are organized by containers. Now, if you look closely, you'll notice there is a header associated with each container. That's something that's new to the software as well. You can include a header to describe the contents of the container. You can include a GD&T symbol as well as some text. You'll also notice that the positioning of the leader lines follows the same methodology as dimension items. Again, it picks the shortest distance between the object and the end of the leader. I think to really appreciate these enhancements, the best thing to do would be to write a solution from scratch. So I'm going to use the RPM training CMM to generate a inspection on data that I know doesn't exist in the repository. So I'm going to return to the edit, normal edit. I'm going to go to the view mode, and I'm going to measure a part. So I know this part doesn't exist. It pulled in the data. I'm getting my normal message that says a solution to process RPM ++ write new solution.csv cannot be found and was built automatically. So the auto solution builder did its thing. So the next thing you would do is go to the edit mode, click on the data collector, and I would set up my filters. So I'll go over here, slide over, find a machine, click on machine, type in the label for the filter, click on add, and then click on process data. It'll process the data and give me the reaction plan for the data that's in there already. So this should be review for you, and this is the type of stuff you would get from the quick start video. The next step would be go to the quick dimension edit and make changes to all your dimension items. Clean things up. Now right now you'll notice you've got a text box up here that's labeled fine. You can use this to find the objects in the list, or the dimension items in the list. So if I click on 1, all the dimension items that are labeled with a 1 are selected. Again, it's a quick selection tool. I'm going to select all, click on this button here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to uncheck the display process reset button. And here I would normally clean things up, like for example, all of the linear dimensions, I want to label them as linear or distance. And I might do other things here, like maybe condense change the startup graphics from condensed to none, and then add some change the labels so that it's giving me numbers instead of just verbiage. I mean, there's a lot you can do here. I'm just going to leave that set to condensed. Do the same thing for my Y's. Change my true positions so that you have the true position, the position GD&T symbol, and do the same thing for my diameters to put in the diameter symbol. Click on apply, and I've done that. Now the next step in the process of developing a solution would be to organize your dimension items into groups. You'd use the dimension organizer to do that. I'm going to put all of these into one group. Again, notice you've got the find feature here if you want to find the dimension items that contain a certain text. You can enter in the text here. I'm going to select them all and put them all into a group. And this group, we're just going to call it holes. And I'm going to add an image to the solution. I think I got one on a desktop. Yeah. We'll add that image to the group. Change the background color so it's gray to make it look pretty. Say OK. Now I've got the solution organized by groups, and I've included an image to the group. And the next step would be I could use a quick group edit and clean it up even more, but I'm going to go right to the detail edit view and start working on my pages. Now you'll notice right off the bat, I've got the image and I've got the dimension items listed in a cascade fashion. If I did nothing more, I could click on, I'm going to uncheck the arrange button. I mean the lock leader button. I'm going to unlock the leaders. If I click on the arrange square, watch what happens. It reorganized the objects on the page so that they're in a square fashion with the image in the middle. Now, if you didn't have this feature, you'd have to do this manually. It would be very time consuming, but with a click of a button, it did most of the work for me. Now, the reality is you're not going to do this. You're probably going to place these in containers. That would probably be your next step. So I want all the data that's associated with hole 1 in a container, all the data associated with hole 2 in a container, etc. So to do that, I'll click on the Containers button. This window appears. And again, you've got the quick find text box here. So I'm going to organize my containers so that each container is got all the pertinent information for each hole. So I'm going to click on 1, insert a new container. Notice the container is a little different. You can give it a name here as opposed to just having the general text of the label container. And I can include the GD&T symbol. And if I want to, I can show this header. So these 3 entries are new. These are part of the 3.0.0.18 enhancements. I'm also going to change this to horizontal, and I'm going to put the maximum number of dimensions along an axis set to 2. Just as my own personal preferences. I'm going to do the same thing for holes 2, holes 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I'm going to label these accordingly. Hole 2, hole 3, hole 4, hole 5, and hole 6. Now we have these out of order, so I'm going to move hole 1 up to the very top. So I've got them in order, 1 through 6. Now, hole 6, I really don't want that container to be visible. So I'm going to mark each one of the dimension items in the container as auxiliary. By doing that, it will cause this container, the dimension items, or this container and all the dimension items inside the container to be invisible when you're in the view mode. So I'm going to say OK. That reorganized them into containers. Oh, I forgot to change all of them to 4. I'm sorry, to 2 and horizontal. So I'll do that real quick. Say OK. All right, so now I have them all set up the way I want. If I click on the Arrange Square button again, it rearranged the dimension items, the containers accordingly. Notice the whole 6 containers off to the right. When you click on the Arrange button, if the object is not visible, it really isn't going to be visible to the user. It puts it way off to the right, so it's out of your way when you're working on the solution. And right now, if you look at this, I would start dragging my leaders around to finish this up. Well, if you notice, they're not in the order that I wish. It starts at hole 1, hole 2, and goes in a clockwise fashion. Hole 1, hole 2, hole 3, hole 4, hole 5. But really, the way I want this to be displayed is hole 3, hole 2, hole 1, hole 5, and hole 4. So to change the order in which the objects are displayed when it does the arrange, I'll go back to the containers window, and I'll reorder these in the order in which I want them to appear counterclockwise. So I want hole 3 to be at the top. I want hole 2 to be next, and then hole 1, and then hole 5, and then hole 4. I'll say OK. And I'll arrange square again. Let's zoom in so you can see it. And now you can see I've got them in the proper order. Now it's simply a matter of dragging my leaders around. And now I'm done. I'm ready to actually put this into production. So the arrange square saved us a lot of time. If you want, you can come in here and you can, if you don't like exactly where it's located, you can go ahead and lock the leader and drag them around if you want. But at least this gets you started, and it's a time saver. It really is a time saver. If you have any questions, you can contact us at Becker Quality Solutions. I encourage you to view some of the other videos to help you learn more about the software and how it works.